Something which Doors does absolutely perfectly is making sure all of its mechanics are greatly utilized. It is honestly insane how much time and care is put into this game, and it shows very well as there are barely any flaws with it. However, there is one flaw with Doors, and by flaw I mean more of a missed opportunity, which I believe should be recognized, as I've seen basically no people talk about it. You see, the Dread entity is one entity which is horribly utilized in game, which kind of sucks because it is really cool due to numerous reasons. And today I'd like to discuss what makes this guy's situation bad right now, as well as how it can be improved. With all of that being said, let's begin. Alright, so before I get into the nitty-gritty details of this video, I want to quickly go over what Dread is. Dread is a secret Easter egg entity which was implemented into the game in the Backdoor update. They appear to be a large white mass full of multiple holes and teeth. Now, as I had stated, Dread is an Easter egg entity, meaning his spawning mechanics are not normal. In order to encounter this guy, you have to wait 1 full hour in the hotel, and then you have to open door 13 but not open door 14. After doing all these very specific steps, Dread will spawn being almost invisible, and they will chase down the player. Once they catch you, you will be jump scared and killed. Some important things to note is that you can despawn Dread by simply opening door 14, and a crucifix can be used on them, which will play a unique animation. Now, as you can probably tell, a ton of care was put into this entity. After all, it was given a unique crucifix and jump scare animation, as well as audio and visual effects. There's noticeably more effort put into this Easter egg entity than in others, such as Jack or Shadow, and there's actually a pretty good explanation for this. You see, Dread was originally planned to release in the Hotel Plus update as a fully functional entity, and this is known due to how they appeared in various teasers for the update, as well as how they had a badge related to them which was scrapped from the game. Now, I will admit, this is a little disappointing, as I don't think such a cool and well-developed entity should just be a secret for those willing to waste an hour waiting in-game. However, I do recall that Elsplash did state how they did not know how to implement this entity, so that is why it spawns the way it does. Unfortunately, I am unable to find this message again. So, with all of this in mind, how could Dread be properly added to the game? Well, I do have a suggestion which I see as fitting the game without being too overwhelming. However, in order to understand this idea, I need to talk about Hast. You see, an entity which has the same concept as Dread but is taken up a notch is Hast. Essentially, how this entity works is that in the back door, you have to beat the sub-level in a certain amount of time, otherwise Hast will spawn and kill you. However, you can increase the amount of time you have by pulling levers hidden around the map. Both Hast and Dread rely on time, so I think we should take some pointers from Hast when redesigning Dread, although I do not think Dread should be as extreme as Hast, and instead it should be toned down a little. Additionally, I do not think Dread should spawn in the hotel. This floor of the game already has plenty of entities to encounter, and I think adding Dread here would kind of dilute how cool they are because there are so many other threats to deal with. Furthermore, I think this entity's overall appearance would better fit in the mines, as they seem to be the type of thing you may find in an old abandoned mine shaft. So, with all of that being said, how could we implement Dread into the mines, have it function similarly to Hast but not as extreme, and make it so no drastic changes are made to the entity which undermine the developer's efforts? Well, my idea is that in some locked rooms in the mines, Dread has the capability to spawn. The way this would work is that some locked rooms would appear with a clock near the exit door. This would be the signal that Dread can spawn in this room. Anyways, after this room is open, the player must escape it in a certain amount of time, like a minute or two. Otherwise, Dread would spawn, chase down the player, and kill them. Essentially, after Dread spawns, they would function the same as they do currently. Dread can be avoided either by opening the locked door before the entity spawns, or if the door is opened whilst they are chasing you down. There is also just using a crucifix on them to play that very cool animation. This idea would not only give players a sense of panic and, well, dread, as upon seeing the clock near the exit door they know what's in store if they do not escape the room in time, but it also makes Dread an actual entity which you may regularly encounter in your run. Not to mention, the same gimmick of time is still there, and besides the spawning method, mostly everything about the entity would stay the same, so the developers would not have to drastically change anything. Overall, I wish Dread was more utilized in the game due to being such a cool entity, and I genuinely see this idea as one of the best routes to take Dread in. Let me know in the comments what you would do to improve this entity. With all of that being said, thank you all for watching and I hope you enjoyed.